All right, welcome back to another lesson with me, Greg, your British English teacher. Now, I've spoken to a lot of English language learners this week. I've been launching my new business English course on my website, onlinelanguageacademy.com, where we do customized business English courses for professionals to take their language to an advanced level. And all these students have said the same thing to me. They've said, Greg, I need confidence and I need an ability to speak confidently and fluently in business meetings. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll do a video on the top 10 expressions that you can use in business meetings in English. All right, it's a great lesson for you, especially if you want English for professional reasons. So, let's go. Now, business meetings are something that a lot of people fear, or they have a business meeting in English and they feel nervous about it. They feel anxious. And I'm sure if you're like the students that I've spoken to this week, you will feel the same way. You just want to be able to understand everything, right? And to feel as confident as you feel in your native language. Really, you don't want language to be a problem or even an issue in the meeting. You just want it to focus on the topic of the meeting, not on the language problem as well. So listen, these are 10 really common expressions that you might not learn in your typical course or dictionary. So I hope you learn them and use them, and definitely listen out for them in your next business meeting in English. So before the meeting starts, there's usually a little bit of small talk. Okay? Usually you're asking colleagues or clients how the traffic was when on the way to the meeting, what they did at the weekend, what beautiful weather it is, or how cold it is in the meeting room. Just small talk. But there's a moment when the small talk has to stop. And in this moment, somebody will say, right, let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. That means enough chit-chat, okay? Enough small talk. Let's start the meeting and talk about business. Let's talk about the reason why we're here. Let's get down to business. All right, the second expression is kick off. If you know and watch and like football, you might know that at the beginning of the game, one person kicks the ball to another person, and that's kickoff. That's the beginning of the game, because one player kicks the ball to another player. So we can use that expression also in business meetings, and it basically means start. Start. So in a meeting, in a business English meeting, you could say, right, John, would you like to kick off with the month's sales report? John, would you like to kick off with this month's sales report? In other words, would you like to begin the meeting? Would you like to start by telling us about last month's sales? The third expression is on the same page. On the same page. Yeah, like you're reading a book and you're on page 87 and I'm on page 87. We're on the same page. But in business English, it really means, do we agree? Do we agree? Are we on the same page? Are we all on the same page here? Yeah? Great. All right, if you're not on the same page, then maybe you have a disagreement. Maybe you argue. Maybe you're trying to convince somebody that you're right and the other person is trying to convince you that they're right, and in the end it's impossible. It's impossible to reach an agreement. It's impossible. So to tie it up and just to say, all right, let's just forget about it. I'm not going to change my mind. You're not going to change your mind. A lovely expression is, okay, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree. I disagree with you, and you disagree with me. All right, so we agree that we both disagree. I think we're going to have to agree to disagree. Now listen, you're in a meeting that is taking place in English, and it's not your first language. So please, don't be shy. If there's something that you don't understand, just say, I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Catch, like you catch a ball, okay? Catch can also mean understand or hear. I didn't quite catch that. Now, I think this is a great expression because you're not really saying I didn't understand. You're not saying, oh, I'm sorry everybody, my English is so terrible that I don't understand you. No, you're simply saying I didn't quite hear or understand the concept of what you said. So don't worry, it doesn't make you appear like your English level is any inferior to anybody else. No, it's just meaning, hey, could you say it again, please? I didn't quite catch that. All right, you have an agenda in a meeting. You have many things to talk about. You talk about this and this and this. So when you reach the end of one topic, it's time to move on, phrasal verb, move on to the next topic. So you might say, yeah, I think we've spent enough time on this topic, so let's move on, shall we? Let's move on. Now, I have to be honest, I think the king of productive meetings is and always was my dad. He could make a 1 hour meeting 5 minutes because he was very much to the point. Okay, he kept to the agenda and he was to the point. Nobody likes meetings. They're there because you have to attend them. So if the person who is leading the meeting is very much focused on being productive, then I think everybody wins. A good expression to stop people from making it unproductive, and I'm sure you've been in this situation, right, where one person starts talking about something and then they go off on a tangent and start talking about something else and then something else, and it's just, in the end, you're like, whoa, hey, can we get back on track, please? Can we get back on track? Let's get back on track. Let's get back on what we were talking about. A track is like a path or a train track. All right, the two ways that a train goes on. So if you're going off track, if you're going off topic, then you're not talking about the subject that you should be talking about. So let's get back on track, shall we? Alright, now 2 expressions to finish a meeting in a nice way. Obviously, you're not going to stand up and say, the end. No, you're going to say a nice expression so that everybody understands it's time to finish the meeting. And a brilliant expression for this is, let's call it a day. Let's call it a day. Alright, I think we've covered everything today, so let's call it a day. Another expression is to wrap this up. Wrap it up. Let's wrap this up. Wrap like a present, like you wrap a present in paper. You can wrap up a meeting or a class. I sometimes use this in my English classes. I say, all right, let's wrap this up, or let's call this a day. So an example could be, whoa, is that the time? I've got another meeting starting in 5 minutes. So we're going to have to wrap this up. Or we're going to have to wrap this up for today. But before everybody runs back to their little offices and starts work again, it might be a good idea to arrange the next meeting. So a nice expression to do this is get together. Get together means meet, basically. So someone might say at the end of the meeting, right, let's get together at the same time next week, shall we? Or let's get together again on Friday. Let's discuss this. Let's get together to discuss this more in a couple of days' time. All right, I want you to do 3 things if you found this video useful. First, give it a thumbs up. Secondly, share it with your friends, especially if they use English in their business meetings. And, of course, subscribe for more videos from me. Alright, I'm Greg from OnlineLanguageAcademy.com. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next lesson. Bye for now.